Short sale in South Florida. What no one is telling you. I want to start with a number. 4 months. That is how long one of my clients waited to hear back from a lender on a short sale here in South Florida. 4 months of checking her mail, her email every single day, wondering if the deal was still alive. And here's the thing, it was. The deal closed. She bought the condo at a price that made her neighbors jealous. And she almost walked away in month 2 because nobody had explained to her what was actually happening. So today, that is exactly what I'm going to do for you. Whether you're a seller who is feeling the pressure of rising HOA fees, skyrocketing insurance, or a mortgage that just stopped making sense. Or maybe you're a buyer who keeps hearing short sale and has no idea if that means opportunity or headache. This video is for you because short sales are coming back into the South Florida conversation. And most people, including a lot of agents, do not fully understand how they work. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what to expect, what mistakes to avoid, and how to decide if a short sale is even the right move for your situation. So let's get into it. If you're new here, hit subscribe. I post weekly videos breaking down the South Florida market with zero fluff. Now, what is a short sale? First, let me break this down in plain English because the term short sale sounds more, complicated than it really is. A short sale happens when a homeowner owes more on their mortgage than the home is actually worth right now. Instead of going through foreclosure, the bank agrees to let the property sell for less than the amount owed. That gap between what they owe and what the home sells for, that is the short part. It's a shortfall. Here's a quick example. Let's say you bought a condo in Aventura in 2022 for $600,000. But before rising interest rates, a wave of new inventory, and assessment increases in your building, comparable units are now selling for around $480,000. You owe $600,000. The home is worth $480,000. That $120,000 gap is what the bank has agreed to forgive or absorb. Now, here's the key difference between a short sale and a regular sale. In a traditional sale, you as the homeowner make the call. You set the price, you accept the offer, done. In a short sale, the bank has to approve the deal. They have to sign off on the price, the terms, all of it. That's why a short sale takes longer. And that is why working with someone who understands lender negotiations is important. But more on that in a minute. Why are we even talking about this right now? Because if you've been following this channel or paying attention to the South Florida market, you already know that costs have gone up in ways that a lot of people did not anticipate when they actually bought. We are talking about homeowners insurance that doubled or even tripled in some cases, condo reserve assessments that caught owners completely off guard, HOA fees that have increased significantly, adjustable rate mortgages that were fine in 2020 but hit hard when rates climbed, job changes, divorce, medical situations. Life happens. I want to be clear about something. This is not a sign that the market is crashing. It's not 2008. Overall inventory and equity levels look very different today than they did in 2008. But there is a real group of homeowners who are quietly feeling squeezed. And if that's you, or if it's someone you know, the worst thing that can happen is ignoring it until the options run out. A short sale is one path, but is not the only one, and it's not right for everyone. Let's talk about whether it makes sense. All right, let me walk you through the short sale process step by step, because this is where a lot of confusion happens. Step one, talk to the right agent first. Not every real estate handles short sales. Honestly, a lot of agents avoid them because they require a lot more work, more patience, and a very specific skill set when it comes to negotiating with lenders. You need someone who understands how to price the property correctly, because if you go too high, well, buyers disappear. Too low, and the bank rejects the deal. It's a narrow target. Step number two, build your hardship package. And this is the hardest part. The bank is not going to take your word for it that you're having a hardship. They want documentation. We are talking about bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs, a hardship letter explaining your situation, and a financial worksheet. This is the step where a lot of short sales fall apart. Sellers get overwhelmed or emotionally exhausted and they stop responding. I've seen deals collapse, not because the bank said no, but because the seller stopped submitting paperwork that was required. Oh my goodness, I remember Margaret. She almost became one of those statistics. I will come back to her in a moment. Step number three, list the property and wait for the bank approval after you have an offer. Here's what surprises most buyers. The home goes on the market before the bank has approved the price, which means a buyer can make an offer. The seller can accept it, and the bank, they can still say no. This is why the timeline is unpredictable. You could be waiting 60 days. You could be waiting 6 months. And if there are additional liens involved, like a second mortgage, HOA liens, or even an IRS lien, the process gets more complex. Short sale timeline reality. It could be anywhere between 60 days on the short end to 4 to 6 months, which is common, sometimes even longer. Okay, let me bring Margaret back into this. Margaret reached out to me after getting a special assessment notice from her condo association. Between that, her insurance increase, and an adjustable mortgage rate that had been climbing, her monthly costs had gone up by nearly $1,000 a month in less than 2 years. And she didn't want to sell. She loved her condo, but she also couldn't sustain those payments. And she was starting to get behind. We sat down together, walked through her numbers, and talked through her options. Short sale, it was the right path for her situation. What she did not expect was the emotional upheaval. The process can be draining. The paperwork, the waiting, the uncertainty. Around month 2, she called me and she said she wanted to walk away from the whole thing. She was done. I told her, Margaret, you've already done the hard work. The bank is reviewing the file. We already have a buyer. Walking away now means starting all over from square one. So she stayed with it. Month 4, we finally got approval. The buyer was still there and the deal closed, and Margaret was able to move forward without a foreclosure on her record. The key, she stayed organized. She kept submitting documents when they asked for them. And finally, she trusted the process. Have you ever dealt with a short sale? Drop your experience in the comments. I read every single one. Now, let me talk to buyers for a few minutes, because if you're considering a short sale, there are some things you absolutely need to understand going. The home, well, it's being sold as is. The bank is not fixing anything. If the roof needs work, if there's plumbing issues, if there's mold, that lands on you as the buyer. In South Florida especially, this matters because inspection surprises, well, they can be expensive real fast. Do not skip your inspections because you think you're getting a good deal. Do all of them. The 4-point wind mitigation, mold structure, all of it. You may be waiting a while. I mentioned the timeline issue already, but I want to be specific. You need to make sure you are actually in a position to wait. If you have a lease ending in 4 months and you've got nowhere to go, a short sale may not be the right purchase for your timeline. If you have the flexibility, the patience can absolutely pay off. Some buyers land properties meaningfully below market values because they were willing to wait when other buyers weren't. Watch out for additional liens, HOA liens, second mortgages, IRS liens. These can slow the process significantly and sometimes cause a deal to fall apart entirely. Your title agent needs to do a full lien search early so you know what you're walking into. Here's the full buyer's checklist, okay? Full inspections, flexible timeline, confirm lien status early, and work with an experienced agent, okay? All right, so credit and tax implications for sellers. I get this question constantly. Is a short sale going to destroy my credit? Honestly, it will have an impact, but for most homeowners, the impact is less severe than a foreclosure. How much less depends on your overall credit profile and how far behind you are when the short sale actually happens. There can also be tax implications depending on the amount forgiven and your specific situation. This is why I always recommend sellers speak with a CPA and a real estate attorney before making any decisions. I can tell you about the process, but really those professionals can tell you what it means for your specific numbers. What I can tell you from my experience is this. Many homeowners who go through a short sale are surprised by how much faster they're able to recover financially compared to a foreclosure. It is not a great option, but for some people, it's the better option. Now, the biggest mistake sellers make. I promised at the beginning that I would tell you the biggest mistake I see sellers make. And this mistake kills their short sale. It's going silent. I know it sounds simple, but this is what actually happens. The process is slow. It's stressful. It's emotionally exhausting. And some sellers they check out. They stop answering emails. They delay paperwork. They hope that somehow things will resolve themselves. Well, banks are already slow. When the seller goes silent on top of that, the file just sits there. The clock runs, and at some point, the lender closes the file, and you're back at square one, or worse, closer to foreclosure. Short sales require organization and follow through. If you're going through this process, treat the paperwork like a part-time job because, well, it kind of is. The deal does not die because the bank says no. It dies because, well, the seller disappears. So here is where we land. If you are a seller who is feeling financial pressure right now, please do not wait. The earlier you start exploring your options, the more choices you're going to have. Options shrink fast once foreclosure proceedings begin. If you're a buyer, short sales can be absolute real opportunities in your market, but go in with patience, a great team, realistic expectations, and if you're someone trying to understand what is happening in South Florida real estate right now, well, I hope this gave you a clearer picture. If you have questions about your specific situation, whether you are a seller trying to figure out what your options are, or a buyer evaluating a short sale listing, reach out. My contact information is in the description. Before you go, drop a comment telling me your biggest question about short sales or how long you waited on a short sale transaction. I want to see your numbers. And if this video was helpful, I hope you will hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly South Florida market breakdowns. I will see you in the next one.